So 2 days ago, I was chatting with a friend, right, about the work I'm doing on YouTube, right? Like my mission out here, which is, sharing tips and tools and stories and insights about how Black women can tap more into their intuition, right? And our intuition being our life giving source, being our source of creativity, and how it's essential for us to live free and delicious lives. So as we were chatting, she shared this text with me by Audre Lorde, and it's called The Uses of the erotic as power. And the erotic here meaning our spiritual and creative power. And I thought it was just so timely, right, to receive this text. And I'm going to leave a link to the text in the description box of this video. And that's something I want us to discuss today, right? Is the portions of the text that stood out to me in conjunction with this wonderful book that I'm always referencing, because this book is my book. You can see how worn out it looks. Like it's literally because I have been flipping through it for the past 6 months. Like it's such a wonderful resource when it comes to, the topic of intuition and spirituality and creativity. So I also wanted to read out portions from this book as well that have stuck out to me, which aligns with Audrey's uses of the erotic as well. And how, actually, before I get to how, I feel like it's important for women to tap into their intuition as a source of creative power, I just actually wanted to also say how happy and joyful I am that I'm in this timeline where I'm having this kind of conversations with friends. I'm also having this kind of conversations with you as well. Because I feel like if you're watching me, you are probably on this journey. No, not even probably, you're definitely on this journey as well to tapping into your intuition, to understand the value of your intuition and also seeing your intuition as a life source, right? So, yeah, if it sounds like something you are interested in hearing more of, I want you to, go ahead and subscribe and like this video and leave a comment to me as well. Like, how do you see your intuition? Like, what kind of value do you place on it, right? So, yeah, let's get into it. So I read this text by Audre Lorde, The Uses of the Erotic, and it really, really struck me, right? And I was so happy my friend had highlighted portions of this, which I found were the most relevant portions of the text. And I'm going to read, some portions of both Audrey's text and Dr. Clarissa's text as well. And Audre, defines the erotic as a resource within each of us that lies in a deeply female and spiritual plane, firmly rooted in the power of our unexpressed or unrecognized feeling. She said, in order to perpetuate itself, every oppression, every oppression must corrupt or distort those various sources of power within the culture of the oppressed that can provide energy for change. For women, this has meant a suppression of the erotic as a considered source of power and information within our lives, right? So prior to, I feel like this current revival we are in, like as women, we've always been conditioned to not express our individuality, right? We've always been conditioned to always follow certain paths, right? You have to do this kind of job if you want respect. You have to, go to this kind of places or live in this kind of places if you want to, have this kind of social capital. You have to be married at a certain age if you want to have this kind of social capital. Like it's always been that for us. Like always about how we are seen externally and never how we are feeling internally, right? So I just felt like it was so powerful to read that. Like, it feels like almost a concerted effort to disconnect us from our intuition. Don't even feel it feels like it is a concerted effort to disconnect us from our intuition. And who does that serve, right? Who does that serve? Because for sure it doesn't serve us. It's not serving us, you know? It's not like it hasn't served me. Like I remember when I first moved to, this country and I was so focused on settling down. I was always work, work, work. I was always trying to do the things that made other people happy, or that fed my ego, or, puts me in in a particular standing. And I paid for that, I paid for that through my physical body being so fatigued and burnt out, right? And also through the exacerbation of my panic attacks. I also paid for it in my mental health as well, with mood swings or mild depression. Like, that was a really wild time, and during the process of all of that, right, when I was all go, 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 work, 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 or trying to, do things for others and not checking in with myself, how I really felt about doing those things, it wasn't serving me, you know? It wasn't serving me. Like, I wasn't the one being served. My intuition was for sure not being served, right? And it did take me a while to come back to myself. It did take me a minute to realize what I was doing and taking that responsibility to coming back to myself, coming home to myself, tapping back into my intuition. And I feel like that's what Audre is mentioning here in terms of, for women, this has meant a suppression of the erotic as a considered source of power and information within our lives, right? Because we are so conditioned to do external things. We're so conditioned to prioritize external things. And when I say external things, I mean our work, our relationships to others, whether it's marriage or whatever else, right, that society deems it's important for us to have so that we can be seen as respected members of society. As if the respect was even there in the first place. Like, just try to step out of line and see those who respect you. It's always conditional on something that someone else outside of us has told us, that we need to behave, we need to talk like this, we need to, you know, work like this, we need to behave this way, we need to be in these sorts of relationships. Like, it's always been things that have been external to us that has always like informed us on how we should lead our lives. But it actually doesn't make us happy, apart from even making us happy, which is even the most, basic thing. But it leaves us with so much, like, it leaves us in so much fatigue. It leaves us in so much, you know, there's so much distortion that happens, right, in both our physical lives, our creative lives, and our spiritual lives. And to me, I feel the spiritual and creative is one and the same. But like, it really does cost us a lot, right? And I just want to switch to Dr. Clarissa's book here. And Dr. Clarissa actually calls it aggravated thefts. She calls it aggravated thefts, right? She calls all of that like when we are suppressed, like when, you know, the outside world kind of conditions us to be a certain way. She calls that stealing from our intuition, right? So she says the aggravated theft of the intuition of the soul also occurs far more subtly through the thefts of a woman's resources and of her time. The world is lonely for comfort and for the hips and breasts of women. It calls out in 1,000 million voiced ways, waving to us, plucking and pulling at us, asking for our attention. Sometimes it seems that everywhere we turn, there is someone or a something of the world that needs, that wants, that wishes. Some of the people, issues, and things of the world are appealing and charming. Others may be demanding and angry, and yet others seem so heart-rendingly helpless that against our wills, our empathy overflows. Our milk runs down our bellies, but unless it is a life and death matter, take the time, make the time to put on the brass brazier. And the brass brazier here would mean your intuition. Stop running the milk train. Do the work of turning towards home. Though we see that this intuition, she calls it skin here, but intuition, soul. Though we see that the intuition can be lost through a devastating and wrong love, right? It may also be lost in a right and deepest love. And that part stood out to me. It is not exactly the rightness of a person or a thing or its wrongness that causes the theft of our intuition. It is the cost of these things to us. It is what it costs us in time, in energy, in observation, in attention, in hovering, in prompting, in instructing, in teaching, and in training. These motions of psyche are like cash withdrawals from the psychic savings account. The issue is not about these energy cash withdrawals themselves, for these are an important part of life's give and take, but it is being overdrawn that causes the loss of the instinct and the paling and dulling of one's most acute instinct. It is lack of further deposits of energy, knowledge, acknowledgement, ideas, and excitement that causes a woman to feel she is physically dying. And honestly, I can really just end the video at this at this point, because literally that is it. Like, that is it. When there is so much imbalance and you're not being poured back into, right? You're not being given that love, that acknowledgement, that nurturing, that nourishing, that energy, that excitement. When you're not being replenished with that, like, of course you're going to feel dull. Of course you're going to feel like you're not yourself. Of course, you know? So I feel like this should leave us with a lot to think about, right? Like, how are we disconnecting from our intuition? What things around us are a big distraction to our connecting with our intuition? Like, what is holding you out, basically, right? What is the thing, or what are the things in your life that is a big cost to you? Right? What are those things that are a big cost to you? That's costing in your energy, that's costing in your, I think, like your attention, okay? That's costing in your observation, in your teaching. Like, what are those things? Right? Because for sure, that's something I have been working on in the past couple months. Like, what are these things costing me? What is me being in this kind of environment costing me? For example, like in this corporate spaces, right? Like, I have been taking stock of what it's been costing me in my self-confidence, in my esteem. What is it costing me? And it's so important for us to have these conversations and to ask ourselves these questions, because if we say we want to live free lives, we want to live delicious lives, then we need to be honest with ourselves about, the truth of what this spaces, what these relationships, what these interactions are costing us. Like, is it driving you further away from your instincts, or is it taking you closer to your instincts? And I'm really in this phase in my life where I only want to be in relationships that drive me closer to my intuition. Okay? I only want to be in spaces where I am free to exercise my intuition. Okay? This life is very, very spiritual. Is this so spiritual? This life is so spiritual. Like, this experience we're having is such a spiritual experience. And so it would be really sad if we did not take it as such. If we neglected, like Audre said, if we neglected our erotic, that would be so sad. If we lived, I'm going to be turning 34 in September. Like, if I lived all of my 34 years, okay, and I did not, I don't view or don't value my intuition, and I don't consult my intuition for everything, like, that would be so sad. Because then it will feel like I've not been living a full life. Like, the way Audrey said, it's like, for women, this has meant a suppression of the erotic as a considered source of power and information within our lives. Like, I feel like reading this text, I'm reading this book, this wonderful book, like, it really made me sit down and think about how I'm like, oh my God, have I been neglecting my intuition this entire time? Like, imagine how much how much stress and how much pain I would have saved myself if I checked in more with my intuition, or if I even listened to her. Like, I was just like, oh my God. Like, I would have saved myself a whole lot of stress. I would have reduced the cost on myself if I did. Okay, if I listened to know that, okay, that environment was not right for me, and I acted on it immediately. If I listened to know, okay, this relationship, this friendship is not the right one for you. Okay. And I know as a Libra Venus, right? Like we be people pleasing. We be people pleasing. People pleasing is like, oh, but then I'm like, what was the cost of that people pleasing to me? Okay, what was that cost? Cost me in my energy, in my time, in my resources. But I honestly feel like we are in this revival where women are waking up to these truths, right? We are waking up to the knowledge of our intuition as a source of power. And power is such a beautiful thing. Honestly, don't flinch. When it comes to power, please don't flinch. Power is what you need. And when I say power, not power in the way the world thinks of it. Okay. I mean spiritual power, you know, power that preserves your life, power that gives you that self-confidence, power that raises up your esteem, power that brings you lots of abundance, lots of aligned relationships, power that gives you that agency to live this life the way you want to live this life. That's what I'm talking about when I say power. Okay. So I feel like I've said a lot. And if you want to, get started on taking that first step to actually checking in with yourself and sitting down with yourself and just listening to what your instincts, wants to say to you. I designed this free resource. I'm going to leave a link in the description. It's called the Instinct Audit. It's just a series of questions that, lets you listen in. It's like a check-in. Think of it as a check-in with yourself. It lets you sit down and listen in on what your instincts have been trying to tell you. Because believe it or not, I feel like our instincts tries to talk to us. It's just a matter of if we are listening and if we are acting on the information our instincts is trying to pass to us, right? And again, it is the source of our power. And in this world, I feel like that power is like our edge. It's like the edge that you need to overcome whatever it is that comes your way and to live a delicious life. And you need that edge, baby. You need that edge. You need it. Especially in this world as a Black woman, you need it. You can't afford to be complacent about your intuition. You can't afford to be complacent about your creative power. You cannot. Like that's too high a cost. At this point, it's too high a cost. But I know that if you're listening to me, you're already on that journey. You already know the value of your intuition. You already know that it's a life-giving source. I know you know. So this is not news to you. I'm just basically confirming what you know. So let this be a reminder, permission to please tap into your intuition, listen to it, recover and reclaim everything that was stolen from you. Because I will not lie, like I feel like most of us have been stolen from, right? Most of us have been stolen from, if not all of us. So been stolen from our time, our resources, our energy. But it's not too late. It's not too late to recover all of that. And I know that once you take that first step, you'll begin to see those shifts happen in your life. Like things will start to rearrange and align for you. Because that's what's happened in my life. Also what's happened in the life of, the people that around me. Once they started tapping into their intuition, life just started aligning for them. Life has started aligning for me in the right direction. I am more at ease. I am more calm. Okay. All the things that used to upset me, all in the past, it's in the rearview mirror now because of what I now know. Like I value, people I value my intuition. Oh my God. Like I'm not taking any step without consulting her first. I'm consulting my intuition first. I'm like, baby girl, what do you have to say about this issue? And I'm sitting down to listen to what she has to say. Okay. I feel like that's our superpower in this world. That's the edge that we have. And yeah, I hope you found this video very helpful. I hope, you also use the free resource. And I would also like to hear from you as well, about the value of your intuition, how, yeah, what your thoughts are basically, right? Like, what do you feel? How do you feel we have been Or let me ask it this way. What is the journey you're making back to your intuition? What is the journey you're making back to yourself? What does that journey look like for you? Right? Because I have said what it looked like for me, in this video, in checking in with myself, in making sure I consult my intuition first because I understand the value. So I would like to hear from you as well. Okay. It was so lovely hanging out with you. Always so grateful whenever I come here and just sit down and chat with you. And I wish you all the very, very best. Okay, let me know how it's going. Let me know how you find the free resource. It's called the Instinct Audit. And until my next video, take great care of yourselves. Okay, love you. Bye.